My sister told me I was ruining her vacation by paying for my hotel room. So, last summer, my family took this big beach trip that everyone had been planning for months. I rode with my parents in their minivan and they paid for my hotel room. Sounds like a sweet deal, right? Except here's what nobody told me. I had to share that room with my sister's 3 boys. We're talking ages 4, 6, and 8. 3 kids who think bedtime is a suggestion and that jumping on beds is an Olympic sport. Meanwhile, my sister and her husband got their own private room because they wanted a romantic getaway. Before we left, my parents sat me down and promised I'd get plenty of time to do my own things. They said it would be fun, relaxing, a real vacation. That promise lasted exactly 1 morning. Day 1 started with my sister knocking on my door at 7 a.m. Hey, can you watch the boys while we sleep in? We're exhausted. I'm standing there in my pajamas, hair a mess, and suddenly, I'm on duty. Every single beach day turned into me being the designated kid watcher. Can you make sure they don't go too deep? Can you help them build sandcastles? Can you take them to get ice cream? I felt less like a vacationer and more like an unpaid camp counselor. The meals were even worse. I spent every dinner cutting up chicken nuggets, wiping faces, and stopping food fights while my sister and her husband had adult conversations and actually enjoyed their wine. Around day 3, I started complaining. I pulled my mom aside and said, "This isn't what you promised. I'm not getting any time to myself." She looked at me with that disappointed parent face and said, "You're here for free. Stop being so ungrateful." My dad backed her up. "Your sister needs help. That's what family does." I felt like I was going crazy. This wasn't help. This was full-time childcare. We did exactly one thing I wanted the entire week. 1. I love visiting art galleries when I'm at the coast. It's my thing. So, we went to this beautiful gallery on day 5, but the kids complained the entire time. "This is boring. When can we leave? I'm hungry." We stayed for 20 minutes before my sister said we had to go. I spent that night in my shared room listening to the boys argue about who got which pillow, and I decided never again. Fast forward to this year. My parents announced they're planning another beach trip for June. Same place, same setup, and they just assumed I'd be riding along the same way as last year. I took a deep breath and said, "No, I'm driving myself this year, and I'm paying for my own hotel room." You should have seen their faces. My mom actually gasped, "Do you know how expensive that is?" I smiled and said, "I have a good job now. I can afford it." That's when the guilt trip started. My dad jumped in with, "But we're a family. We do things together." I stood my ground. I'll still be there. I'll still do family dinners and beach days, but I want my own space. I explained everything from last year, the babysitting, the broken promises, being treated like the help instead of like an adult on vacation. My mom looked hurt. "We didn't realize you felt that way," but they told my sister. Oh boy, did they tell my sister. She called me that same night, absolutely furious. "Are you serious right now? You're going to ruin the entire vacation." I asked her how my having my own room ruins anything. She exploded. "Because I'll have to wrangle 3 boys by myself. I was counting on your help. This is so selfish." That's when I lost it. I yelled back, "Last year, I was the free babysitter. I'm 28 years old. I want to enjoy this trip as an adult, not as your unpaid nanny. Maybe you should parent your own children on your vacation." She went silent for a second, then said, "Wow, I can't believe you'd say that to me." The conversation ended badly. Fast forward to the actual trip. I drove down separately in my own car, blasting music the whole way, windows down, actually enjoying the drive for once. No kids asking if we're there yet every 5 minutes. No sticky hands touching my phone. Just me, the highway, and freedom. I checked into my hotel room, and honestly, it felt amazing. Like, I had my own space, my own bed, my own bathroom. No toys scattered everywhere. No wet towels on the floor from 3 boys who don't understand the concept of hanging things up. I dropped my bags, changed into my swimsuit, and headed straight to the pool. The hotel pool was beautiful. Not crowded, just a few people lounging around. I grabbed a chair, ordered a fruity drink with one of those little umbrellas in it, and just sat there soaking up the sun. For the first time in forever, I felt like I was actually on vacation. No one was asking me for anything. No one needed me to apply sunscreen or break up an argument. Just peace. I was maybe an hour into this blissful relaxation when I heard it, the screaming. At first, I thought it was just kids playing, you know how they get at the beach, but then the screaming got louder, more panicked. People were running toward the beach from the pool area. I sat up, my heart already racing. Something was wrong. I grabbed my cover-up and ran toward the commotion, my flip-flops smacking against the concrete path that led to the beach. When I got there, I saw a crowd forming near the water, and in the middle of it all was my sister's youngest, the 6-year-old, Tyler. He was on the sand, and even from where I was standing, I could see the hives covering his face and arms. His skin was red and blotchy, and he was struggling to breathe, making these horrible wheezing sounds. My sister was on her knees next to him, completely frozen. Her face was white as a sheet, and she was just staring at Tyler like she didn't know what to do. Her husband was next to her, looking just as panicked. "What happened?" I shouted, pushing through the crowd. "Someone gave him a cookie," my sister said, her voice shaking. "It had nuts in it. Oh my god, where's the EpiPen?" "It's back at the room," her husband said, and I could hear the panic in his voice too. "Where are the keys?" my sister asked, frantically patting her pockets. "You have them," her husband said. "No, you have them." They were both losing it, just standing there arguing while Tyler's breathing got worse. The crowd around us was growing, people murmuring and pointing. Someone said they'd called 911, but I knew we couldn't wait. Not with the way Tyler was struggling to breathe. Everyone was looking at me because my room was closest and I had my car right there in the front lot. I didn't even think. I just ran. I sprinted back to my room, grabbed my keys, and ran back to the beach. By the time I got there, Tyler's lips were starting to turn blue. "Get him to my car," I said, and my sister's husband scooped Tyler up. We ran to the parking lot, my sister right behind us, crying and hyperventilating. I threw open the back door of my car, and my sister climbed in with Tyler in her lap. Her husband jumped in the passenger seat, and I got behind the wheel. I didn't even bother with a seatbelt. I just started the car and floored it out of the parking lot. The hospital was about 15 minutes away, but I made it in 10. I was weaving through traffic, running red lights, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles were white. In the back seat, my sister was sobbing, holding Tyler and begging him to stay awake. "Please, Tyler, please stay with me," she kept saying over and over. "We're almost there," I said, glancing in the rearview mirror. Tyler's eyes were half closed, his breathing shallow. "Just hold on, buddy." My sister's husband was on the phone with 911, telling them we were coming. When we pulled up to the ER, there were already people waiting outside with a stretcher. I barely put the car in park before they were pulling Tyler out and rushing him inside. We followed, running through the automatic doors into the bright, sterile waiting room. A nurse directed us to a small area with plastic chairs, and we sat down. Well, I sat down. My sister and her husband were pacing, holding onto each other, both of them crying. I just sat there, my heart still racing, my hands still shaking from the adrenaline. I kept replaying it in my head. The way Tyler looked, the panic in my sister's voice, the drive to the hospital. I'd never driven like that in my life. After what felt like forever but was probably only 20 minutes, a doctor came out. "He's stable," she said, and my sister burst into fresh tears, this time from relief. "We gave him epinephrine and he's responding well. He'll need to stay for observation, but he's going to be okay." My sister hugged the doctor, then her husband, and then, surprisingly, she turned to me. She said, her voice breaking, "I don't know what we would have done without you." I nodded, not really knowing what to say. We all went back to see Tyler. He was lying in a hospital bed, looking tiny and pale, but he was breathing normally now. He even managed a small smile when he saw us. "Hey, champ," I said, ruffling his hair. "You gave us quite a scare." "Sorry, Aunt Katie," he mumbled. We stayed at the hospital for a few hours until they were sure Tyler was completely out of danger. My sister and her husband didn't leave his side. I sat in the waiting room, scrolling through my phone, trying to calm down. Around 9 p.m., the doctor said Tyler could go back to the hotel, but he needed to rest. We all piled into my car again, this time much slower, much quieter. When we got back to the hotel, I helped get Tyler up to their room, made sure he was settled, and then went back to my own room. I collapsed on my bed, exhausted. My phone buzzed with a text from my mom. "Heard about Tyler. Thank God you were there. We'll talk in the morning." I didn't respond. I just turned off my phone and tried to sleep. The next morning, I woke up to my sister knocking on my door. I groaned, checked the time. It was 8 a.m. I threw on a robe and opened the door. "Hey," she said, looking tired but calmer than yesterday. "Can we talk?" "Sure," I said, stepping aside to let her in. She sat on the edge of my bed, her hands folded in her lap. "I just wanted to say thank you again. For yesterday. You saved Tyler's life." I nodded. "Of course. I'm glad he's okay." There was a pause, and then she said, "And I wanted to apologize for everything, for taking advantage of you last year, for expecting you to babysit this year, for calling you selfish. You were right. I should parent my own kids." I blinked, genuinely surprised. "Wow, okay, thank you." She gave me a small smile. "I mean it. I've been thinking a lot about what you said, and about yesterday. When Tyler was in trouble, I completely froze. You didn't. You just acted. And I realized that I've been relying on you way too much. It's not fair to you." "I appreciate that," I said. She stood up. "Anyway, I just wanted to say that. I'll let you get back to your vacation." She headed toward the door, then turned back. "Oh, and I'm going to tell Mom and Dad that yesterday was my fault, that I should have had Tyler's EpiPen with me, that you were amazing. I'll make sure they know." I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. "Thank you," I said. She left, and I got ready for the day, actually feeling good for once. I headed down to breakfast, grabbed some eggs and toast, and sat at a table by the window. My parents showed up a few minutes later, followed by my sister and her family. Tyler looked much better, though still a little pale. The other two boys were bouncing around like nothing had happened. We all sat together, and the conversation was surprisingly normal. My mom asked how I slept. My dad commented on the weather. My sister helped Tyler with his food, and then my sister cleared her throat. "So, Mom, Dad, I wanted to talk about yesterday. Here we go," I thought. She took a deep breath. "What happened to Tyler was entirely my fault. I should have had his EpiPen with us at the beach. I should have been more careful about what he was eating. And when he had the reaction, I completely panicked. If Katie hadn't been there with her car and her quick thinking, I don't know what would have happened." She looked at me. "She saved his life, and I need you guys to know that." My parents looked at each other, then at me. My mom reached over and squeezed my hand. "We're so grateful you were there," she said. "Yeah," my dad added. "You did good, kiddo." I felt my eyes sting with unexpected tears. "Thanks," I managed to say. But then, later that day, we were all at the beach again, trying to have a normal day. The boys were building a sandcastle, my parents were under an umbrella reading, and I was floating in the water on an inflatable raft. I saw my sister talking to my mom, and I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I saw my mom's face change. She looked upset, then my sister walked away, and my mom started talking to my dad, pointing in my direction. I had a bad feeling. I paddled back to shore, got out of the water, and walked over to where my parents were sitting. "Hey," I said, drying off with my towel. "Everything okay?" My mom looked at me, and her expression was cold. "We need to talk." My dad nodded. "Yeah, sit down." I sat, confused. What's going on? Your sister told us what really happened yesterday, my mom said. I frowned. What do you mean? She already told you what happened. No, my dad said. She told us that you delayed helping Tyler because you were being petty about having your own room, that you made them wait while you went to get your keys, and that's why it took so long to get to the hospital. My jaw dropped. What? That's not what happened at all. She said you were angry about the whole vacation situation and you wanted to make a point, my mom continued, that you could have helped faster, but you didn't. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Are you serious right now? I ran to get my keys. I drove him to the hospital. I broke like 10 traffic laws getting him there. Well, your sister says differently. Where is she? I stood up, looking around. I spotted her near the water with her husband and the boys. I marched over there, my parents following. Hey, I said, my voice loud enough to make her turn around. Did you just tell Mom and Dad that I delayed helping Tyler yesterday? She had the audacity to look sheepish. I mean, you did take a while to get your keys. I ran to my room and back. It took maybe 2 minutes. It felt longer, she said, crossing her arms. And honestly, if you hadn't been so stubborn about getting your own room, you would have been staying with us and Tyler's EpiPen would have been right there. I stared at her, completely floored. So now this is my fault? I'm just saying, if you cared more about family than about having your own space, this could have been avoided. I looked at my parents. Do you hear this? She's literally blaming me for her son's allergic reaction because I wanted my own hotel room. My mom sighed. Katie, I think you need to apologize. Apologize? For what? For being difficult this trip, for making your sister feel unsupported. And I think you should move into their room for the rest of the trip to help properly. I laughed, but it wasn't a funny laugh. You're kidding. It wasn't. We're not, my dad said. Family comes first. If you don't do this, you're not welcome at future family events. I looked at all of them, one by one. My parents, who I thought would have my back. My sister, who was literally lying to their faces. Her husband, who was looking at the ground, not saying anything. Fine, I said quietly. But I wasn't giving in. Not really. I had a plan. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about what my sister had said, how she'd twisted everything. And then I remembered something. Earlier in the trip, when we first got to the beach, I'd been recording some videos on my phone. Random stuff, the sunset, the waves, the kids playing. I grabbed my phone and started scrolling through my videos. And that's when I found it. A video I'd accidentally recorded while my phone was in my beach bag. I must have hit record without realizing it. The audio was muffled but clear enough. I could hear my sister talking to my mom's sister, my Aunt Carol, who'd come to visit for the day. I don't know what to do about Katie, my sister was saying in the recording. She's being so stubborn about this whole room thing. Well, maybe just let her have her space, my aunt replied. I can't. I need her to feel guilty enough to watch my kids. That's the whole point of this trip for me. Free babysitting. My aunt laughed uncomfortably. That's a bit manipulative, don't you think? It's strategic, my sister said. And honestly, after yesterday with Tyler, I can really play this up. Make it seem like she wasn't there for us when we needed her. Then she'll feel so bad she'll do whatever I ask. I sat there, staring at my phone, my hands shaking. She'd admitted it. She'd admitted to lying, to manipulating, to using Tyler's health scare to guilt me into being her free nanny. The next day, I played along. I showed up to breakfast with a smile, told my sister I'd be happy to take the boys for a few hours. Her face lit up. Really? Oh my God, thank you so much. No problem, I said sweetly. I thought we could go to the arcade. She practically threw her credit card at me. Get them whatever they want. So I took the boys to the arcade, and I let them do whatever they wanted. They played every game, twice. They ate hot dogs, nachos, candy, ice cream, soda. I let them stay up until midnight, running around, screaming, playing. By the time I brought them back to my sister's room, they were completely wired from sugar and exhaustion. I knocked on the door. My sister answered, looking relaxed and rested. Hey, how'd it go? Great, I said, ushering the 3 boys inside. They immediately started bouncing off the walls, talking over each other about all the games they played and all the food they ate. My sister's smile faded. Wait, what did you feed them? Oh, you said whatever they want, I said cheerfully. They had such a good time. Okay, well, good night. I left before she could respond, heading back to my own room. I could hear the chaos starting, even as I walked down the hall. The next morning, I woke up to banging on my door. I checked the time, 6:30 a.m. I opened the door to find my sister standing there, and she looked awful. Her hair was a mess, she had dark circles under her eyes, and she looked like she hadn't slept at all. What the hell did you do? She hissed. What do you mean? I asked innocently. The boys were up until 3 a.m. They were bouncing off the walls, fighting, crying. I got maybe an hour of sleep. Oh no, I said, trying to sound sympathetic. That's terrible. You did this on purpose. I just gave them a fun night like you asked, I said with a shrug. She pointed a finger at me. You're a terrible aunt. You know that? Terrible. She stormed off, and I closed the door, smiling to myself. Later that day, we all met up at the beach again. The family breakfast had been tense. My sister barely looked at me, and my parents kept giving me disapproving looks. We set up our stuff, and I was helping my dad put up the umbrella when my sister suddenly exploded. I can't do this anymore, she shouted, loud enough that people nearby turned to look. Can't do what? My mom asked, concerned. This. Her, she pointed at me. Katie is the most useless aunt I've ever seen. She's selfish, she's mean, and she ruined my life by existing. The beach got quiet. Even the kids stopped playing. Everyone was staring. Excuse me? I said, standing up. You heard me. Ever since we were kids, you've been the favorite, the smart one. the responsible one, and I'm just the screw-up who can't do anything right. That's not true, my mom started, but my sister cut her off. Yes, it is. And now you won't even help me with my own kids. What kind of sister are you? I reached into my beach bag and pulled out my phone. Funny you should mention that, I said. I pulled up the recording and hit play. My sister's voice came through the speaker, clear as day. I need her to feel guilty enough to watch my kids. That's the whole point of this trip for me. Free babysitting. My mom gasped. My dad's face went red. My Aunt Carol, who was there again, looked uncomfortable. And honestly, after yesterday with Tyler, I can really play this up. Make it seem like she wasn't there for us when we needed her. Then she'll feel so bad she'll do whatever I ask. I stopped the recording. So, yeah, I'm the useless one. My sister's face went pale. Where did you get that? I accidentally recorded it. Lucky me. My mom turned to my sister. Is this true? Did you lie about what happened with Tyler? My sister opened her mouth, then closed it. She looked around at all of us, and I could see her calculating, trying to figure out how to spin this. But my dad spoke first. Answer your mother. I might have exaggerated a little, my sister said quietly. A little? I said. You told them I delayed helping Tyler because I was being petty. You blamed me for something that was entirely your fault. I was stressed, she shot back. I wasn't thinking clearly. No, I said. You were thinking very clearly. You saw an opportunity to manipulate everyone, and you took it. I looked at my parents. Do you want to know what else she's lied about? Last year, when you guys said I was complaining too much about babysitting, I wasn't complaining. I was drowning. I watched those kids every single day of that trip, every meal, every beach day, every night, and she told you I was being ungrateful. My mom looked like she'd been slapped. We didn't know. We didn't know. Because she didn't want you to know, I said. Just like she didn't want you to know that she's been using family trips as free childcare for years. That's not fair, my sister said, her voice rising. You don't understand what it's like to have 3 kids. Then maybe you should have thought about that before you had 3 kids, I shouted back. My dad stepped between us. Everyone calm down. No, I said. I'm done calming down. I'm done being the family punching bag. I came on this trip to have a vacation, and I've spent the entire time being manipulated and guilt-tripped. I started packing up my stuff. I'm checking out. I'm going home. Katie, wait, my mom said, reaching for me. I pulled away. No, you guys wanted me to apologize and move into her room to help properly, but she's the one who should be apologizing. She lied about Tyler's accident. She lied about me. She's been lying for years. I looked at my sister. You want to know why Tyler's EpiPen wasn't at the beach? Because you were too busy sleeping in and having alone time with your husband to think about your kids' safety? That's on you, not me. My sister burst into tears, but I didn't care anymore. I threw my bag over my shoulder and started walking toward the parking lot. Behind me, I could hear my dad talking to my sister, his voice stern. We need to have a serious conversation about this. I didn't stick around to hear the rest. I went back to my room, packed my stuff, and checked out. As I was loading my car, my sister's husband appeared. Hey, he said quietly. I paused. Hey, I just wanted to say, I'm sorry for not speaking up back there. I should have defended you. I leaned against my car. Why didn't you? He ran a hand through his hair. Honestly, I've had enough too. I raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? Your sister. She's been lying to me too. About a lot of things. Like what? Like these trips. She told me your parents paid for everything, that we weren't spending any of our own money. But I just found out she's been using my work bonuses. I got a $5,000 bonus last month, and she said she put it in savings. Turns out she used it to book a separate room for us and didn't tell me. My jaw dropped. Are you serious? Yeah, and that's not even the worst of it. She told me the separate room was doctor recommended, that her therapist said she needed space away from the kids for her anxiety. I called her therapist's office this morning to schedule a follow-up, and they said she hasn't been to therapy in over a year. Oh my God, he looked miserable. I don't even know who I married anymore. Everything is a lie. I didn't know what to say. I'd been so focused on my own issues with my sister that I hadn't thought about what he might be going through. That evening, I drove to my parents' hotel room to return something I'd borrowed. When I knocked, my mom answered, and I could see my dad behind her talking on the phone. They invited me in. Who's he talking to? I asked. Your sister's bank, my mom said quietly. We're trying to figure out how much money she's actually spent on these trips. We found receipts, my dad added, hanging up. For the last 3 years, she's been telling us one thing and doing another. Separate rooms, fancy dinners, spa days, all charged to her credit cards, which she told her husband were paid off but aren't. How much are we talking? I asked. Close to $30,000, my mom said, looking devastated. I sat down stunned. How did she hide that? She's been very good at lying, my dad said bitterly. Apparently, she told us the trips were affordable because we were helping, and she told her husband the trips were free because we were paying. Nobody knew the truth. Later that night, I got a text from my sister's husband. She's trying to leave early. I told her no, we're staying. The kids actually want to spend time with me. I texted back, good for you. The next day was supposed to be the last day of the trip. I decided to stay one more night, mostly to see how everything would play out. I was sitting by the pool when I saw my sister and her husband in the parking lot. They were arguing, their voices carrying across the lot. I want to leave, my sister was saying. Well, I don't, her husband shot back. For once, I'm actually bonding with my kids without you hovering and making everything about you. That's not fair, isn't it? When was the last time you spent a whole day with them without complaining or pawning them off on someone else? My sister said something I couldn't hear, but her husband's response was loud and clear. I'm starting to wonder what kind of marriage this really is. Because right now, it feels like I'm just a paycheck to you. She tried to grab his arm, but he pulled away and walked back toward the beach where the kids were playing. My sister stood there for a moment, then stormed off toward the hotel. On the final day, I was packing up my room when I heard a knock. I opened the door to find my sister standing there with all 3 boys. Can you watch them for a few hours? She asked, not meeting my eyes. No, I said simply. Please, I just need a break. That's not my problem. She pushed the boys toward me. Boys, go hang out with your aunt. But before I could say anything, my sister looked at the boys and said, Aunt Katie doesn't love you anymore. That's why she won't spend time with you. The boys looked confused and hurt. Tyler, the youngest, looked like he might cry. But then the oldest, the 8-year-old named Brandon, spoke up. Mom, you told us to say we didn't like her so we could have her room. My sister's face went bright red. What? No, I didn't. Yes, you did, Brandon insisted. You said if we told Grandma and Grandpa we didn't want to share a room with Aunt Katie, we'd get the room with the big TV. The 6-year-old Tyler nodded. And you said Aunt Katie was being mean for not helping us. My sister looked like she wanted the ground to swallow her whole. Brandon, stop talking. But it's true, Brandon said, looking genuinely confused. You did say that. I looked at my sister. Anything else you want to add? She grabbed the boys' hands and practically dragged them away, her face burning with embarrassment. I closed my door and finished packing. Make sure to click on the screen to watch another story.